Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Show. I'm Kirien Sprecher, got Ryan Ward over here for his inaugural RotoWire podcast. We will be with you every Thursday from now until the end of the season. You can catch us live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, audio only. Feel free to leave some comments or questions in the chat and we'll answer them on the show, or you can comment on the YouTube post afterwards and we'll get them answered for you guys. If you like this content, as always, please like and subscribe. As we start today's show, we got the first NBA preseason action underway in Abu Dhabi with the Knicks and the 76ers. The Knicks, as maybe expected, have benched Josh Hart and are starting Mitchell Robinson. They also have ruled out OG Anunoby, and Picome Dadit is starting for the Knicks. So preseason action is fully underway. And then on the flip side, Paul George, Joel Embiid, out as expected. Maybe they'll be ready for opening night. We don't know about that. Any thoughts on that first preseason starting lineup, Ryan?
Shocker. Joel Embiid and Paul George not playing? Shocked. Totally shocked.
Absolutely. I was talking to Mike Barner yesterday, and Pinky P is what we call Paul George because he missed like 3 months with a pinky injury last year. Fantasy managers stay as far away as you can from the 76ers. We don't need to get into them too much. But Ryan was with us all last season. He joined us last season, and so this is his first, beginning to an NBA season over at RotoWire. But he's been around the NBA for a very long time, working with Lakers Nation. So we're just going to start there. Obviously, your Dodgers got the big series win last night over the Reds with the Dodgers hat on. But what are you seeing out of Lakers training camp this preseason?
I think it's just a lot of kind of excitement that everybody's kind of together and healthy at the same time, except for Kleber, which popped up yesterday, which is concerning because you wonder if that guy is just injury prone or is he going to help in any way. But I thought it was cool. It's kind of, everybody's just going through the motions. There wasn't anything like crazy said at media day. I was actually going into it thinking, okay, well, maybe LeBron says this is it, right? This is his last year, which would make sense. 23 years, the synergy there, the fact that the Lakers are clearly making it obvious that they're not going to sign him again, like unless they win a title or something like that, it's and that they seem both on the same page, but there's a little tension there, which is odd. But I guess I'm actually kind of for it. I'm like, okay, this is probably the time where they should separate because it's the Luka era now, and they're making that abundantly clear, right? So I thought it was interesting. I think Marcus Smart's an interesting addition. I think he could be big, especially defensively, because that's the one thing they need more than anything right now. So I'm intrigued by it. But doing this a long time, since 2011 is the first game I actually got credentialed for. So I'm no spring chicken anymore.
I love it. You did say that they were healthy, so you got no concerns over this LeBron, which it sounds like he's like, I'm just not going to play in the preseason.
Yeah, that's it. It kind of happens every year with him. There's always something lingering. He looks totally fine, which, I mean, what's the point of him playing in the preseason, really? Yeah. I mean, get some chemistry going with the guys, but I don't think it's overly important because the season's so long, Yeah. So
absolutely. I think that's very fair to say. But anytime you have nerve impingement or anything like that pop up, it hits the radars a little bit. But obviously, LeBron has been sitting out preseason for a long time, so not going to worry about that until the regular season comes around. You mentioned Marcus Smart. It seems like even when Marcus Smart is full go, it's going to be Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup. Is that accurate, or do you think Smart's going to get a start? Think they're just going to have the Smart Vanderbilt, defensive duo come off the bench? What are your thoughts on the starting lineup when everybody's ready to go for opening night?
I think that's the biggest question right now is, who is that fifth starter? I think you kind of lock in Luka, Reeves, LeBron, and Ayton, and it's just that other guy. Who's that? I mean, the obvious choice is Rui, but then again, if JJ wants that defensive kind of edge right to start the game, then Smart makes sense. But I think it'll be something he even said in his press conference, him and Pelinka, what was it, like a week ago now, said that he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care who the starters was. I've never heard a coach say that before, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it because you got your established stars in there. So it's basically just fringe guys around him. But then again, what do you want? Do you want more defense, or do you want Rui, who's another guy who could stretch the floor and all that? But it's I think it'll change kind of frequently because this team is definitely going to struggle defensively. There's no question about that. It's not
Yeah.
like go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. No, that I think you're absolutely right that it's going to be a lot of changes, and it might even be a game-to-game situation. Do they need the defensive boost? Do they need the offensive boost? I think if everybody is healthy, like you said, this is going to be one of the deeper Laker teams that we've seen in a while. I think Gabe Vincent's finally healthy. Jake LaRavia is it sounds like he might start a preseason game when LeBron is out.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt looks good. Jackson Hayes looks good. And then you also have Dalton Connect and Bronny, which are, the 11th and 12th guys on this roster. Do you think Dalton Connect is going to be part of this starting lineup, or are they just like too deep right now?
I did only if injuries happen. I think that kid's got a lot to prove this year, and I think it's kind of gotten in his head since that rescinded trade, and then. But JJ was raving about him, like saying like he's been doing like 3 a days and stuff, and like he's really like what we've seen. He's in great shape or championship shape as JJ's like trying to drive it into everybody's heads. I think there was even a shirt that they gave to the players that said "Obsession" with 18 being in there, and I'm like, okay, a little corny, buddy, but whatever.
This isn't college basketball, JJ. This isn't Duke.
Yeah,
these are pros.
Yeah. Exactly. You're not Coach K, dude.
Yeah,
I like JJ though.
Yeah. I think the Dalton Connect thing you were talking about, JJ raving about him this year. I think he kind of did a disservice to him last year because JJ was like, this guy's going to be, a key player for us right away. And that just put a ton of pressure on his shoulders. Yeah. And then, it's hard to live up to that. And then that, like you said, that trade, which wasn't even really like, in my opinion, them giving up on Dalton. It was them trying to go out and get a big center, which they did this offseason and get him. So I don't think, obviously, a lot of weird feelings with that. So that was a difficult situation. I hope he gets a fresh start this year and there isn't so much pressure on him. I think he could thrive in a lesser pressure role. But I think we covered a lot of the Lakers. Obviously, you have the inside scoop there, so wanted to get it started there, but there was a lot of other news around the NBA over the last couple of days. I think the biggest news is the Tyler Herro injury. Obviously going to miss like a couple of months here. There was some weird timelines where Spoelstra was like 6 weeks, and then Tyler was like, no, it's like 8 to 12, and then so I'm not really sure what to expect. I think maybe the 6 week is like that's when he's going to get cleared for basketball activities. He'll start shooting again, maybe start conditioning again. Obviously, it's a wrist injury, so I think he'll be fine. But that timeline is 6 to 12 weeks. That is a very long timeline. That's a full extra 6 weeks. So I hate when teams do that. I think Herro's going to be out for a very long time. You looked at Terry Rozier also got banged up, and there was rumors that he was going to get outright cut before the season started this year, and now they kind of need him. What are your thoughts in Miami? Is this a Davion Mitchell step up? Who's going to step up in Miami with Tyler Herro out?
Mitchell makes a lot of sense. I think Miami's kind of a mess, to be honest. I think the whole Jimmy Butler thing just kind of turned them into a circus that Pat Riley didn't want, and then they leaned heavily on Herro, and now Herro's broken essentially for the first possibly 2 months of the season. So I just don't see them kind of being that much of an impact. I think even Bam's numbers went down last year. He wasn't the same guy. I'm not quite sure where the direction of that team is. Like who's going to be their guy? But hey, Mitchell makes a lot of sense. I think that guy's a good player who just needs minutes, right? He's just a guy that just needs more time on the floor, and he's going to get it.
Yeah, and in fantasy basketball, that's really one of the biggest things is, are you a good basketball player? And then do you have the opportunity to showcase those skills? I agree with you. I think Davion Mitchell is a very good basketball player, but who hasn't really gotten a chance to thrive yet. And so maybe this is – I want to clarify, Herro injured his wrist last year. This is a foot ankle injury, so he will need a lot of time to recondition after sitting out. Just wanted to clarify that. I got a little confused there, but So yeah, I think you're right. The Miami Heat are probably a dumpster fire this year. Bam, Khalil Ware maybe he has a breakout sophomore year, but it's looking ugly in Miami. The only bright side is the rest of the Eastern Conference is also a huge question mark with all of the
Right.
Achilles injuries. So maybe that's a little silver lining there. Moving on, I think we got to talk about the Warriors and Philly. You know, obviously the two long-lasting qualifying offers finally were Kuminga finally signed an extension, and
So weird.
Quentin Grimes signed the qualifying offer. The Warriors also added Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, who's injured, and Seth Curry. So obviously the Warriors are all in. Even if you don't think that they're a championship team, they think they're a championship team. If you have three guys like Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler, there's no choice but to try to win a championship. Do you think the Warriors have done enough? Do you think Kuminga is a big enough, fish that they kept in town to make them a championship contender?
No, I didn't understand why they didn't just trade that guy.
Still a
I thought,
possibility.
yeah. I mean, why not? I think because it seems like him and Steve Kerr are not on the same page. Whenever that happens, something's got to give. And I think in another team with a maybe not such a high profile coach with a track record like Kerr's, maybe the coach is the guy to go. But that's not happening in Golden State. I just thought, when all the rumors about marketing popped up, I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't they just push for that? Why wouldn't they try to make that happen? Whereas Kuminga, there's nothing about Kuminga that I'm like, whoa, that guy's got a ton of, he's a crazy athlete, right? But not a guy that's going to move the needle for you. I feel like he's a guy that goes to one of the small market teams that just need a boost, and all of a sudden he's scoring, 25, 30 a game or something, right? But I don't see him being that, because he's got to be the third guy, and I just it doesn't fit. I don't find it fitting. I think Horford fits. I think he's a great fit. And even Seth Curry, some shooting off the bench. Maybe he plays better with his brother. I don't know. Because that was kind of a weird situation too, right? He got waived, but with the intention to sign again.
Yeah.
So
Seth will probably be on the team come opening night, or maybe they have to wait till a few games after that. But yeah, he's going to be a Warrior this season. He's not going to sign with anybody else. I totally agree. I think Al Horford is a way better fit. And the Kuminga situation, we talked about this offline a little while ago. It feels like the Warriors value Kuminga as a superstar, but they don't want to give him any superstar responsibilities,
Yeah. It's like they're saying two things,
yeah.
Right? And it's, well, which one's true? And I think I don't think they value him. I think they want to pump up his trade value maybe.
Yep.
And then to make him look bigger than he is. So, teams will get fooled, but I don't just how long this whole situation took, I thought was absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, as the NBA storyline aspect gone down so bad in this, time to get to preseason, that Kuminga is the top storyline. It's like, this is crazy. I just didn't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Quentin Grimes thing, I think, it didn't make any sense that he wasn't just accepting the qualifying offer, because the rumors were the offer was for $4 million or $40 million. So he's only going to get $10 million anyways with the extension. Just accept the qualifying offer, get it over with, and, go and play this year, and then try to get a bigger contract or get traded. The Kuminga situation, since he signed the extension, he's ineligible to be traded until January, but that's still ahead of the trade deadline. So he won't get traded in the next couple of months, but he could get moved at the deadline. Yeah, I think absolutely. It's the Warriors. We always talk about championship pedigree, right? The Warriors are one of the, they embody that in the NBA, but it seems even on the court they can play like rookies sometimes. They turn the ball over all of the time, and their their off court antics, Draymond punching Poole, this Kuminga situation. It feels like we gave them this credit for being champions, but they really are. They act like children sometimes and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's two-faced with the Kuminga situation. If I was Kuminga, I would want to get out of there. I would want a fresh start. But
me too.
It's hard to leave Steph Curry.
With that whole Malik Monk thing, the swap, I thought that made sense for both teams.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Sacramento's going nowhere. So bring in a kid who you could potentially build around. And Malik Monk, I was a big fan of when he was with the Lakers, and I was bummed when he left.
Yeah.
Right. It made sense for him, but it hurt the Lakers. So I'm like, just throw him in there. That guy doesn't need the spotlight. He doesn't care. He just wants to win.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly who they should get. But
and the Lauri Markkanen thing, I think it's a perfect fit, but I think teams in the West especially do not want to trade with the Warriors. I think they're sick of stuff. Nobody wants to help the Warriors get better. Obviously, Danny Ainge
sounds like the Lakers kind of
Yeah.
situation too for years. Yeah. They just don't want to throw, except for Dallas, apparently.
Oh, that yeah. All right. So moving on, the Charlotte Hornets. I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets a little bit because I feel like, other than their crazy announcer and LaMelo getting hurt every other day, they haven't really had any continuity. It seems like LaMelo is healthy, Brandon Miller's healthy, Miles Bridges is healthy. They went out and got Con Knipple. They got insurance for if LaMelo misses time with Colin Sexton and Spencer Dinwiddie. What are your thoughts on the Hornets this year? I'm kind of high on them. Like I said, the Eastern Conference is very weakened this year. This could be the year that LaMelo gets into the playoffs, and I feel like if they're kind of trending towards the playoffs, LaMelo is going to really thrive in that type of situation. Am I crazy on this, or what are you getting out of Charlotte's training camp?
Well, I'd say best case scenario, they take advantage of a weak Eastern Conference, right? But the thing is, they have to stay healthy. But they have added more pieces to the puzzle to make it. Say LaMelo goes down again, I think that it's going to be easier to fill that void now than it was before or the last few years, right? And I think Brandon Miller's the real deal too. I like that guy. So I think they could be a sneaky good team, like a dark horse in the East, right? I don't think they're going to win a title or anything like that, but they could be middle of the pack, maybe go a little bit above that, depending on how the other teams fare. So they're interesting. They're interesting for once.
Yeah, for once, that's exactly right. And obviously, they're healthy on October 2nd. We'll see what they look like on October 22nd, let alone in January. But right now, I think I'm buying the Charlotte hype train. Somebody has to be good in the Eastern Conference, and now I think the Charlotte is my dark horse, and then I like Orlando and Atlanta as my other semi dark horses. They're kind of a little bit better last year. Obviously, made the play-in game last year. All right, so I got a bunch of other news from training camp, so I'll just run through it. You can say concerned, not concerned. Need more time to wait on it. Jalen Suggs is probably out for the preseason, but he's currently doing non-contact work. Is this a player you want to avoid in drafts, or is this a player you think is going to be totally fine come opening night and the Magic are going to have that starting lineup ready to roll?
He does seem pretty injury prone. I think he's a great player. I think he's really good. I think he's kind of like the glue for them in a sense, but it's just such a risk now. I don't know if this is like a LaMelo thing where you just expect him to get hurt at some point during the season. So yeah, I'd probably stay away from him. I'd concern. Yeah.
I had Suggs in a lot of leagues last year, and it was absolutely fantastic when he plays, but the injuries are, he's played in more than 53 games only once in his career. So that's pretty telling right there. I think the Desmond Bane addition kind of takes some pressure off of him. So maybe he doesn't always have to guard the top guy, but he's from Minnesota, close to here. So, I kind of grew up in the Jalen Suggs era. Jalen Suggs was a fantastic football player. That's all anybody ever talked about when he went to Gonzaga.
Oh, really?
He's you watch him on the court, you're like, this guy's a football player, right? He's diving after loose balls.
Usually defensive guys are, right?
Yeah.
Especially the perimeter guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lou Dort, yeah, for sure. So, and that type of style, it's kind of hard to get that out of Jalen. And as long as he's playing like that, I think injuries are going to be a concern. I think the injury concern and the addition of Desmond Bane kind of just reduces Suggs' value. But he is an elite defender if you're looking for defensive stats. So staying in the Eastern Conference, Jaden Ivey, Pistons excelled last year, and Jaden Ivey wasn't really a big part of that after getting injured. Now he's back. Pistons lose Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley. Ivey's going to start Do you think that that's gonna make Minnesota or make Detroit better than they were last year, or is it gonna be a little butting of heads with Ivy and Cade in the backcourt?
I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, it could be one of those things where it's exactly what he needed just to slip into this role, and all of a sudden he just flourishes, right? And I'm kind of like leaning that direction, but it could go either way. It's a gamble. That guy's a gamble for sure, but it might be worth taking a shot.
Yeah,
Why not?
I think the Ivy Asar Thompson wing, that's two of the fastest guys in the league. So I feel like there's a clear fit that Ivy could slide into here, but he's going to have to make threes because he's not going to be the lead dog. It's going to be Cade Cunningham. Asar Thompson's going to get a lot of ball handling opportunities this year. Ivy is going to get the ball in his hands, but he's going to need to make open shots, and that's kind of been a weakness for him. So that's what I'll be looking for. Moving over to the Western Conference, the Dallas Mavericks, the Kyrie confusion during media day was kind of weird. There was
confusion, Kyrie? Yeah. Never.
Yeah, those go hand in hand. But yeah, it said Kyrie was ahead of schedule, and then Jason Kidd's like, he's not ahead of schedule. And then Kyrie was like, I'm right where I'm at. A lot of mixed signals coming out of Dallas.
Didn't even say he said he was not coming back unless he's like 100%. Like that was so. Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah. I feel like the comments in preseason for guys that are expected to miss the start of the regular season. It's a lot of like, I just am trying to be positive right now because I can't play basketball and I'm really sad and I'm just going to physical therapy and this sucks. So like they're just trying to be as positive as possible. I don't think Kyrie's going to play until at least the new year. Even then it's, a lot of conditioning and get back into game shape. So I'm staying away of Kyrie for fantasy purposes, especially if your season, ends before the end of the regular season. The other news out of Dallas was Derek Lively is healthy, but Daniel Gafford's hurt.
That came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah, I think as long as you have one of them, Davis is going to play a lot of 4, and then he'll be the backup 5. Are you any concerns about Gafford being hurt?
A little, because it seems like he's kind of one of those guys too. That gets banged up all the time, right? And I love his game. I think he's a good player. I think both those guys are. I think Dallas is like a team, ironically, that's flying under the radar a little bit, right? Like, I think it's all, they don't have Kyrie. They're not going to compete until Kyrie. Well, what if Cooper Flag is a guy right out the gate, right? Which, if you watch Summer League, it looks like he could be, right? He could be that guy. I mean, Summer League versus regular season, but, still, I think if he's got all those guys around him, he's going to be able to excel. But, that's concerned. What was it, 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like right at the start of the regular season. Are they really going to throw him into action right away? Very concerning.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Especially if you got Lively, right? Like just throw Lively in there. And I think they lean more Lively anyway, right? And Gafford's more of a bench guy. So,
but Lively missed a lot of time too last year, so it's going to be a lot of mix and match. For fantasy purposes, I feel like this is going to be dumb to say, but I feel like they're better when they're both available. I think they're both better in like 20, 25-minute roles than one guy getting 30 minutes. I just think that the energy that they can bring, they're more impactful in spurts than they are when they have to like fully rely on them to be the starting center. Obviously, Anthony Davis can play a lot of backup center too, so maybe they won't have to play 30 minutes. But yeah. All right, so a couple of more big time injuries. Jalen Williams is not close to returning. J-Dub for OKC. Are you worried at all about an OKC slumber to start the season after their championship?
No way.
Too deep, too talented. Yeah, they'll be fine.
Maybe there's a little bit of like championship hangover. Yeah. You know what I mean? They've kind of read the headlines all summer.
Yeah.
But I kind of doubt it. It's because there's no egos on this team. They seem like they're all in. They feel to me like a really, really good college team, like the old Duke teams or the old North Carolina teams, like teams that are they've got a ton of talent, but they all seem to just play as one. So
I love that comparison. I love that.
Yeah, I think that they'll just the plug and play guys until he gets back, and then they're scary good, man. That's they're scary
So
good.
deep too, and
Right.
Nikola Topic might be in the rotation too. So yeah, I think they're deep enough. De'Aaron Fox is not expected to be ready for the opener, but it seems like a minor injury. Seems like he'll be coming back. He wasn't super productive with the Spurs last year. What are your
No.
thoughts on Fox with San Antonio?
I wonder if it's an odd fit, and then they go out and get Dylan Harper too. It's like, did they really like what they saw from him? Is he a guy that's going to get traded again at the deadline? Which I wouldn't surprise. What if Dylan Harper becomes a guy, and they're content with that? So I'd kind of stay away from that guy too. I at one point he was a stud, right, with Sacramento, and he was a no brainer. But now I don't know. I feel like he's gonna potentially float around the league until he finds a good fit again.
Yeah,
Because maybe he might be one of those guys that can't function if he's not number one.
yeah,
Right. That happens.
yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
yeah. So yeah.
You talked about Dylan Harper. He had an injury that was expected to keep him out of training camp, but it sounds like he has a long shot to play at some point during the preseason, so he could be ready to go.
Yeah.
Also, got to mention Stephon Castle. If the Spurs knew that Wemby was not going to finish last season, I don't know if they make the trade for Fox, and they might just let Stephon Castle cook, and then maybe Castle is the point, or like the guard of the future. A lot of question marks in San Antonio right now. Obviously, with Wemby, everybody expects them to be good, but there's a lot of work to be done for sure. Okay, so a couple more. We got Giannis is still in Greece because he got tested positive for COVID and can't come back until he gets a negative test. No issues there. He'll be fine. Even though ESPN keeps trying to get keeps reporting that he wants a trade, Giannis has consistently said he wants to be in Wisconsin.
Hey, did you have flashbacks of the COVID era, writing notes about COVID?
Oh my! Don't even get me started, man. That was the worst note writing.
I remember you telling me, yeah.
We got the Jazz are already tanking. Markkanen's a little banged up.
Oh God,
they're banged up. We talked about
what
Wemby. Wemby has no restrictions. He had his full, anime off season where he was training with all of the goats, and seems to be ready to take the league by storm. And then the last one I have here was Mark Williams is banged up for Phoenix. If Mark Williams injury, it doesn't sound like it's a serious injury, but if he is not ready to go by the regular season, would you rather have Nick Richards or the rookie out of Duke, the Malawach?
That's a weird situation, man. I don't know what they're doing. Like, Phoenix is a very confusing franchise.
Yeah.
It's like they go from trading for all these superstars and then they bring in 3 centers. Like, what are you doing? Where's the direction here? I don't understand that. Maybe because of Williams' injury history, but why would you bring him in then?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't. It's very odd. So I don't know what's going on there. That's kind of like a stay away, isn't it? Like, I wouldn't touch Richards, him, or Malawach, right?
I think Malawach gets a little boost in like dynasty or keeper leagues, obviously.
That makes sense
because he has long-term value. And obviously, like just drafting rookies, I feel like in any fantasy sport that you play, everybody would rather have the shiny object that no one knows about, open it up, see what you have, than the veteran, right? Yeah. Just draft Malawach and see what happens. Obviously, maybe that's not the best strategy, but that's where managers tend to lean because the mystery box could have, amazing benefits. I agree. I think I'm staying away from the center rotation in Phoenix and probably staying away from Phoenix in general.
Yeah, everybody in Phoenix.
On that note, we have some questions from James Chan in the chat. He speaks similar to Phoenix. Are there any Jazz players that you are targeting in fantasy this year?
Marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him in the Eurobasket. He was unstoppable. Like, so maybe it's his year. I don't know.
And the only concern there is that they always tank at the end of the season, so then he's not playing come fantasy championship time. But maybe he finally gets traded this year, and this is the year, like you said. I like Taylor Hendricks as a long shot. I think he was injured last year. He didn't really get a lot of time to really build upon his strong rookie season. Only played in 3 regular season games. I think this guy can shoot the lights out. I think he can play defense. I think he can rebound. just a matter of if he gets that opportunity. So obviously, if you're in a deeper league, Hendricks is an option. If you're in an 8-team or 10-team league, you don't need to draft Hendricks. But Hendricks is kind of my long shot. Other than that, Walker Kessler is kind of nice, but he's kind of peeved that he didn't get the extension. So who knows how big of a role he's going to play. It's pretty tough in Utah nowadays.
I say go all in on Kevin Love. All in.
Is this
first pick in the draft right there?
Is this 2010? that would be good. We talked about Brandon Miller a little bit, James. I'm taking him in the 3rd round in a lot of leagues. Alex Brutha, who is the main editor over at RotoWire, is absolutely in love with Brandon Miller.
He's good, man.
The injury concerns are there. The 3-point shot, he could lead the league in 3-point shooting this year with LaMelo and Tom Knippel spreading the floor. He could get some easier looks. You said you liked Miller earlier, so I feel like
I do.
Yeah, you co-sign all of that.
I agree. Yeah,
we got one more here. It looks like it's 14 teams, 14 cat Roto, and got the 14 to 15 picks. So would you rather have Maxey or Harden in fantasy this season?
Maxey.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Harden he's kind of reinvented himself, right? His assist numbers are way up. The 3-point shot kind of came back last year. He was a very, very strong fantasy option, but this Kawhi situation.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're a mess. That could just turn into an absolute disaster by the time the All-Star game comes around, because it sounds like they're not going to get punished until after they host the All-Star game, which is crazy to me. But yeah, the Clippers, it's like they have a ton of names, but what's going to happen? Because I think bad stuff's already come out, so there's already a dark cloud over that team. Just one more thing happens, that whole thing could fall apart, and then people are requesting trades and stuff like that. It just sounds like a disaster that's brewing, and it's gonna pop at some point,
Yeah.
So
you can make the same argument about Philly, but I feel like Tyrese as a younger player, I totally agree with everything you said. I think as a younger player, Maxey, if he's healthy, he's still going to get a lot of minutes and a lot of usage. Whereas Harden, if everything blows up, Harden's going to, the energy and the how much he's paying attention and how much he's willing to give a crap on a nightly basis is going to go way down. We've seen that plenty of times before.
And there's no questioning Maxey's effort. That guy's going to ball out every time he's on the floor. So it's like high upside,
And the only time his fantasy value has dropped is when there's been injuries, which he doesn't have the injury prone label quite yet. It was just one bad season where everything went wrong in Philadelphia. All right, one more question here before we get out of here. Manila Most Wanted. Is there any reliable breakout player in Portland? The playoff schedule is too good to pass up. Well, Denny Advita was that guy last year. Probably not going to get him at a good value this year. His ADP is closer to the 50s. Breakout is really it depends on what kind of breakout you're looking for. If you're looking for a breakout in a 10-team or 12-team league, that's a little bit different than like a 16-team league. Shaedon Sharpe is one of the most talented players in the league. With the Scoot Henderson injury, with Drew Holiday not being ready, with Damian Lillard not being ready, maybe this is a Shaedon Sharpe explosion to start the season. That would be my best guess here. What about you, Ryan?
I don't want to butcher his name because I don't think I've ever said it out loud before. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Tumani Kamara?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to butcher his name. Yeah. He's kind of first. Portland's kind of interesting. Talk about a team that's totally not getting talked about outside of the Dame return, which doesn't matter because he's not going to play until next season anyway. It's just there could be guys that just come out of nowhere. Simon's in there anymore, so there's a hold of Hill. I'd keep my eye on it. There could be some guys there that you could pick up, and all of a sudden they just boom. They turn out to be a huge fantasy asset.
Yeah, I think Kamara is a great pick. Look, 70 games played as a rookie, 78 games played last year, started all of those, 33 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Great defender. His 3-point shot improved. Just steady improvements all across the board. And I think you nailed it. Portland's a little interesting. They were very good against the spread last year. Chauncey Billups, it's taken a little while, but this is a defensive-oriented team, and Kamara was a big reason why their defense turned around last year. Obviously, Donovan Clingan is going to have a big role, man, in the center spot this year too. I love Kamara. I think Kamara you can get around like pick 120, 130. So in a 10-team league or something as a final pick, I think that's a great a dart throw, not even a dart throw, just a great like high upside option to go there. James said Denny Abida. I agree. His ADP is it's just a little too high to be considered a breakout right now. But there's like you said, Simons is out. There's all those injuries, a lot of opportunities in Portland this year. So that's definitely a team to monitor for fantasy purposes. All right, Ryan. Well, appreciate you hopping on. Looking forward to doing this the rest of the season. I hope everybody in the chat had a good time. Like always, like and subscribe to the video if you enjoyed this content. We'll be back next Thursday.
Later.